trust is in you. Sariki dunia, my trust is in you. Hey ya, esibala bamoti eleboda. Hey namos ya motela. Hey, sibila bibilo mambeta ye mambele bosa kando de galeta de babale e mamosa de eshiba mamoto. Master of the universe, my trust is in you. My miracle walking God, my trust is in you. King of glory, my trust is in you. Abada, bada, my Father, my trust is in you. Hey, I put them on you. My trust is in you. I put them all in you, Jesus. My trust is in you. Hey, I put them all in you. My trust is in you. Isubi amambete alebo siya. Hey, Baba. My trust is in you. Oh, Kabiyaosi, oh, Baba. My trust is in you. Hey, I put them all in you. My trust is in you. Hey, I am Masuni, I'm a man. I put them all in you. Hey, my trust is in you. I put them all in you. I put them all in you. So, Mama, hey, my trust is in you, God, in you, mighty one. I put them all. Lion of the tribe of Judah. My trust is in you.
The cattle on 1,000 hills belong to you. My head, shoulder, knees, and toes belong to you. And everything that I made up belongs to you. My mind, body, and my soul belongs to you. It all 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 belongs.
Good afternoon to you, wherever you are, friends and family across the world. You're live on Fi One, the station for the people. We're bringing you a new show today that is called One and One. This is Sika. There are so many stuff we'll be discussing. We have a guest, a very important guest with us today, and I'll be introducing her very soon. Please try and share the stream today for us. If you're on Facebook, please share. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our page and share. If you're listening on the radio too, please do well and visit both Facebook and YouTube and try to share the stream. We will be with you shortly.
You're the part of I declare. Break me and mold me as you please. I am yours, so Lord.
the seas belong to you. And everything will ever be a gift to you, God. To the lake, baby. It all belongs to you. To you. It all belongs to you, God.
So, our topic today is women in politics. Somebody might ask why women in politics. This world has gotten to a point where women are more needed to join in political meetings, political appointments, everything about politics. Somebody might also ask, what is politics? Politics is very important in every human life. Mostly, it is imperative for the existence of statehood and the way in which people interact with each other, how they make decisions and settle dispute. Um, I'll be introducing our guest today, Ms. Janie Coley. She is all the way in Liberia, and she is the Media Relation Director for the University of Liberia. Hello, Ms. Janie.
Hello, Sika, how are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
How's it going out there in Liberia?
It's good. We're keeping safe, most importantly, and trying to work hard towards national development.
That is awesome. Can you introduce yourself a little bit and for our audience to know who you are and what you do for
Well,
the university?
my name is Johnny Colley, as you can see on the screen. I'm the media relations director at the University of Liberia. University of Liberia is a Liberia premier higher learning institution and the largest public um, higher learning institution in the country. I've worked in public relations for a good while, and I've also kept a large interest and involvement with women in politics. I began my career at age of 17 with the Angie Brooks International Center
Mm-hmm.
for Women's Empowerment, Leadership Development, and International Peace and Security, ABIC. They were the hosts of the International Women's Colloquium in Liberia, a colloquium that brought together several presidents, vice presidents, co-hosted by the then president of the Republic of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and Tadia Halone of Finland. So I've worked in gender and public relations, government relations as well, in local and international NGOs. And I've also worked in city and mainstream government at the Ministry of Finance. So that's a little wrap of who I am and what I've been involved with.
Well, that's really good. A lot of achievement. Not many women can get to what you've been doing for your you've done in the past and what you're doing right now. That is really really good. What brought you? Why are you involved? Are you involved in any political party? Are you involved in any political duties? Have you done anything in that past?
Politically, I've been involved. I was involved heavily with during the 2000, the Just Gone campaign with the Unity Party. I served on the executive committee of the Unity Party. At the time, the executive campaign committee of the Unity Party chaired by, at the time, Chairman Augustine Kafwan. I've been involved in politics from the time 2006. I remember the first election of the then President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who I consider as a model for a lot of young women. I also was involved in the 2011 elections with the media team, and also I delivered a speech during that time, during the 2011 election. And then during this gone election, the 2017, I was involved with the Unity Party, Right now, I'm still evaluating my next move, but one thing that I'm certain of is in this senatorial elections look that we're going to have this year, December, I am supporting all female candidates for the Senate.
Wow, that's good. So, how many women do you have running for that seat?
Currently, from what we've gathered from the CPP, which is the coalition of political parties that make up the United Party, the ANC, LP, and ALP. What we've gathered from them is that at least 5 women will be on a ticket contesting for the 15 counties. Unfortunately, the current ruling establishment, which is the CDC, have not been able to put up any female candidate. There are also several uh, independent candidates as well. I know Edith Gonglo, where in Nima County, is one of those who is contesting for the CPP seat with Taiwan, where we hope Edith can win and she can go on to be the candidate on the ticket. But if she doesn't, my support will be with Edith Gonglo.
Over in Liberia, I know in most countries and most places, gender inequality and domestic and low pay income, lack of access of education, and inadequate health care affect women and girls. Do you have those issues out there too?
We are seriously faced with those issues. I mean, don't forget, I mean, we come from a more patriarchal society for the longest time in our history. And I know people normally like to bring up the fact that Madame Sirleaf was a female president,
Mm-hmm.
but we've lived for 176 years, and we've had only one female president.
President. Wow.
Most of the time, our leaders are male, and half of the time, our leaders in the legislature are predominantly male.
Male.
So we've had issues with, after our civil crisis, we had a lot of sexual and gender-based violence that atrocities that were committed during those times. Rape was is almost like a court. The culture of rape is um, encouraged in the Republic of Liberia. It's like
Mm-hmm.
something that we can easily turn our blind eye to, and a lot of us and other people and civil society organizations have raised these issues a lot of times. We are comfortable when it comes to rape and gender-based violence. We've had series of issues just quite recently. Last week, a young women's group, along with other people, hosted an anti-rape campaign,
Mm-hmm.
3 days anti-rape campaign between August 25th and 27th, and they were calling for government actions.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the Ministry of Gender also submitted to the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency George Manawia, um, a policy proposal to address sexual and gender-based violence in the country, which we hope and pray that this time it won't be another paper that will pile up dust, but it will actually be implemented to see some of these heinous crimes against women and children and even boys. I mean, a lot of boys have been sodomized in the country right now. We currently have over 900 cases of rape in the
Wow.
country, so you can see how alarming that is.
Yeah, that is really
Um,
high.
and hopefully they can go ahead and these issues can be addressed. Having policies and programs put into place, not just saying we do awareness. Awareness is just one sector or
Mm-hmm.
one facet of what we need to address with. We have to talk about having fast track court, funding the fast track court, getting DNA machines in the country
Mm-hmm.
that will be able to help the justice system, putting in capital punishment for people who were below a certain age. We just had a girl from Buffalo who was 3 years old and raped.
Oh
Not
Lord.
only was she raped, the man violated by using a razor blade through her private part. I mean, these things are just completely out of the normal.
Yeah, it's out
And
of order. It is.
until we have actions taken by government and our people in power and ourselves. I mean, just as human beings, as society,
Why has
until
it
we can
taken the
address
government
it.
so long to act on that? Because it seems like it's been going on for a long time now, and you've had a female president, and I know that issue was there, and they didn't do nothing about that, and now this. So what has it taken the government so long?
One of the things that have always caused civil society problems and advocates problem in this country is we have politicians who say one thing and do
Mm-hmm.
a whole other thing.
Oh yeah.
And our society is not well structured to hold people accountable to what to say.
Mm-hmm.
So matching words with actions have been a huge gap. And then because of our literacy rate, as you may know, we
Mm-hmm.
have a very high level of illiteracy. During the ballot time, people come in with the rice, the t-shirt, taking advantage of our poverty rate in the country and the low literacy of people. And they just get voted based on t-shirt, rice, and money.
Wow.
And these people are not people who have had history that you can match to say, okay, he did this when he was at the Senate, he did this when he was at the representative. Until our society start to hold our public officials accountable for their words matching their action, we
Yes.
will always have to slip through the cracks.
Wow. That sounds like I would say Africa. As I don't know other African nations, but I do know what happens in Ghana. But knowing what is going on in Liberia says a lot. I just hope the African leaders will do the right thing for the people, because seems like there's so a lot of injustice out there, and the people are suffering. All right, let's go on. Before we go on,
Yeah.
back to
I
the
had a
politics.
conversation to do.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Janie.
No, please,
No, no,
let's
no, no.
go
Go
on. I'm
ahead. Go.
sure that question will come up and we'll address the issue.
Okay, so I was just gonna put the political side, excuse me, on hold, and just ask how have you guys done with the COVID? How is it going out there? What has the government done to help the people?
I think the height of our COVID struggle, we've had a lot of awareness and sensitization
Mm-hmm.
of our people. Our president, His Excellency, made an awareness song
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people are playing and it resonates because he's popular, and a lot of people are listening to it. One is because the message is from the president, and he basically talks about COVID-19 is real, how we should address it, and a lot of awareness have been made about COVID-19. We have policies in place that you should wear your mask when you go in the public.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know the Liberian people very well, you know they will wear it when they are alone, and then when they get in contact with another person,
They take
they
it
will
off
take it off. So,
like the
so that has
opposite.
been a challenge. But our Ministry of Health, I mean, I must commend them on this. They've been doing a very good job. We
That's
don't
good.
have a lot of, our death rate is very low, very, very low. Our recovery is extremely high. And I mean, a lot of people have not contacted the virus. It could be because we're not doing a lot of testing.
Mm-hmm.
But we look on the bright side, and we hope and pray that it's because we are following the rules.
That's good. So, basically, do you have any statistics with like the numbers? How many cases did you guys have in all, and how low is it
The
now?
last the last statistic I checked, we were almost at 1,000 cases, and that was 2 weeks ago.
That is
We have
really
haven't
good.
had new cases in over a week or so. I can't state directly the numbers for death and the number of recovery, but I know we haven't crossed the 1,200 threshold yet.
Oh, that's good. Unlike some places, they are really struggling. Like here in
Yeah,
the United States, our numbers are really high. Um,
yeah.
okay, so let's
But
go
we have a
back.
lot of facilities for testing, so I mean, we just have few. I mean, one or two That's
One or two
testing. So
testing. Wow.
centers, yeah.
Well, I hope other governments will bring more aid out there to help with the testing. Um, who knows? Maybe somebody have it, and there are a lot of people who are asymptomatic and they won't show symptoms but have it and
Yeah.
might be spreading it, but nobody will know who has it. Let's go back to politics. Why women in politics? Why do you think women should get involved in politics?
When I'm normally asked this question, I'm asked this question a lot. It's almost like saying, why should one side of your body move with the other?
That's
Yeah.
good.
And the whole population, which is what I term as the body, has over 50% of that population is women.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have another 50% of the population as men.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to divide the body in half, or in the middle, in the center, one side is women and one side is men.
Yep.
Now, if I want both of my hands to box, this is why we should just say why women are in politics.
Mm-hmm.
It brings a balanced view.
Mm-hmm.
One, it brings balanced issues to the table.
Mhm.
Two, it is what is to be. It is breakfast in the morning, lunch at 12 or noon, and dinner at night. This is what we are to be talking about. Not having 50% of the population to the table
Mm-hmm.
is like having an incomplete, unbalanced, and political views.
That is true. That is true. I hope a lot of women will listen to this and will make a lot of ads out on this and send it out and to reach a lot of women to kind of rethink of getting involved, because I know in most countries in Africa a lot of women are, I'll say, like second class citizens. They don't get involved in anything. Just be home and like homemaking for the home. That's basically what in the past they've said women do, and the world is changing right now, and we need more women. Um,
I think the world is changing as well as Africa. Right now, you have a huge women's rights movement in Africa. I mean, the feminist forums are all across Africa right now. Even Liberia has a Liberian feminist forum. A lot of women are making strides of getting into politics, though they are at a disadvantage because financially, and if you're in Africa,
mhm.
politics here has a lot of financial implication.
Yeah.
Financially, they are not, they don't have the financial capacity
And why
to
is
go
that?
into
If I should come in and ask, why is it that way in Africa? Like, if you want to be a politician, you have to have a lot of money. And if you don't have, is it the same in your country too, as I know it is in Ghana?
It is. It is. I mean, it is. It cuts across most African countries. That is because of the level of poverty, the level of literacy in the country. People tend to look at quick gains
Hmm.
than long-term plans and policies.
Mhm.
They want something tangible that they can hold, they can feel, they can see. I can see my bag of rice. I can see my T-shirt. He came to visit me and gave me $5 or $10. And as opposed to, he's going to make a policy that will have my children go to a good school.
Mhm.
They don't think that is achievable. One, because a lot of times our politicians lie a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and so if you running and you come with your I mean, we have a very funny situation right now in Mosserato County where the two men, in fact, they're not even women, the two men are running. One has the financial wherewithal, he has the upper hand, and the other don't. So when he goes out, the other who don't have the financial capacity,
Yeah.
he normally tend to talk about policy programs,
Yeah.
and people are like, okay, so what we eating tomorrow night?
That is Well, so do you think we need to spend more time to educate Africans that um, wanting to be a leader, or like if you're a citizen and you're joining a certain group or a certain party, you have to listen to the policies and the plan of that candidate, but not what the person is giving you right now.
Yeah, I think that will happen over the next couple of years as our people go to school and literacy is improved.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of us having almost 89 or 90, when we can do like 30 or 40, and then percent literacy, we can now start to have those conversations. Also, another thing that will help a lot is if our envelope, our development envelope, is improved. If politicians are going to do what they say and the
Mm-hmm.
changes is going to happen, then people can now see, okay, they may said it true to us at a certain time. Sorry, I'm speaking complete colloquial at this point. Okay, he told us that this was going to happen, and now that it has happened, we can now say, okay, he's going to deliver the next time.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things in Africa that we have to look at, and what is women's rights, women in politics or men in politics, is building institutions. Most of our political parties are built around individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and they break away and they form different political alliances, and then the supporters follow them. Once we have institutions, almost like the US, where you have the Democrat and
Mm-hmm.
the
And the
Republican,
Republicans,
when we
yeah.
can have systems that are built based on party policies, then internally the parties can hold their candidates accountable for what they promise, because they know at the end of the day it affects their party image,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that could start to help who our politicians accountable as well.
Okay, so there's Liberians, like the government, do they have like checks and balances for the politicians when they come in? Like win a term, say one thing and doing the other, and I'll say like the finances. That I know most politicians like to squander the country's money. Do you have the same issues out there too?
Same issues, same issues. I mean, we have our current government, and I'm not saying this in opposition to the government. The current government promised over 180 promises and deliver on 8.
Oh
And
boy.
we're in the third year.
And you're in the third year right now,
Yeah.
meaning next year will be an election year.
This year is an election year.
Oh, this year's an election. So when do you guys vote?
Midterm election. So our president go for 6
6
years.
years. Oh, okay.
One term is 6 years, yeah, and as opposed to the US 4 years. So currently we're in midterm elections. They're going for senatorial elections, and then by 2023 we'll be going to the ballot to elect a new or old president.
Yeah, a new girls like a new president or old president. I get that. Bad. He's been on for 3 years and he's only delivered just a handful of what he said. What are the people saying? Are they angry? Do they want answers? Why
You know,
things are like
someone.
that, or the country doesn't have the funds to um, put those things in place that he promises to do?
Well, COVID is an excellent excuse,
Oh gosh.
and and most of the time our leaders will say due to the COVID-19
Hmm.
and the financial implications that came with it. I mean, we could not deliver on these promises. I mean,
COVID just started.
that's an excuse. I mean, we understand that. But also, we are just suffer Ebola as well.
Hmm.
And the government was, just when the government made the transition, we were just recovering
From
from the effects
Ebola.
of Ebola on our economy and the rest of the other things. So, I mean, generally, the people in Liberia, those who are part of the ruling party, have their own issues. They believe that the party is not delivering what they promised them.
Hmm.
On the other hand, there are people who believe that the government is doing exceptionally well, and and they should continue for 24 years. On the issue of the opposition, I mean, they've said continuously that this government has failed on its promise and is not capable of delivering on them. But I mean, those are the different views that we have. These midterm election hopefully will give us some sense of what the people truly feel across the country.
Okay, so my next question to you will be, what difference can you make in your local government? Do you think if you're being assigned a role to play, or like you said, you might want to be in the Senate, what difference can you make?
One thing I can say for certain is I'm more of a person interested in institution and policies. I have no belief that self gains or small donation to people is going to change our country in any way.
No.
And if I ever have the interest or ever serve in a political position, my one and only aim will be to make sure that our institutions are held accountable for what they are to deliver. Because that is where we will change our country.
That is true.
It's not, I cannot promise to say I will deliver 700 jobs or I will deliver 800 roles. That's not going to happen if the institutions are not capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So institutional reform, focusing on that,
Mm-hmm.
getting the right people skilled in those areas to head those institutions is very, very important. I know we have a lot of issue with having people come from abroad to serve as ministers and key government officials, but we could put in place measures that would tackle the economic the economic dividend that we normally talk about, that people send money out of the country. You can put in policies that will handle that and have the bright and best, the bright and the best and the brightest at the helm of these institutions, building internal capacity and working to achieving those goals is very, very important.
It is. Wow. So you did say there you guys have like women forum and other stuff. Do you talk about politics with the women? Trying to get them involved.
Oh yes,
What are
I
their
mean, I have,
interests?
there are a lot of women in politics right now. We have just this gone these by elections that have happened over the past 3 years. We've had at least 3 or 4 women run in the district level. I had a good friend of mine, Kula Fofana, who ran as senator for Grand Cape Mountain County. Another friend of mine, Cornelius Kratopa, who ran in District 13. You also have Tela Yue, another young woman aspiring for political office, and all of them are below the ages of 35. So when it comes to women in politics, it's not only women in politics that we're talking about, but young women stepping up to the fray as well and saying, look, this is our time. This is the time that we will make the difference in our country. And yes, we agree that we have age in our favor, but we can also make the difference.
That is good. Really good to hear that women have stepped up to the plate, wanted to run toe to toe with the men, letting them know women can deliver more than because the men come with all the promises and
Yes,
they most of like in Ghana they have an issues of the politicians coming in and enriching themselves and not able to deliver to the people what they say they're gonna do. Because throughout history, the central role of a woman in society has ensured the stability, progress, and long-term development of a nation. So it will be really good to see more women getting involved.
yeah. I mean, countries are built on our backs, and I know for a fact in Liberian history there is this chief from one county called Chief Swak Koko. And though she was a female chief, she brokered half of the deals, the peace deals we have in our country that brought us to where we are right now. And imagine in the time we're talking about, in the early stage of Liberia, Chief Swakoko was the one that brought in. She would do most of the negotiations, but at the end of the day, she was a woman, so she's not remembering our history books as a powerful female who brought a lot of development and of peace to our country. Half of the time, Chief Swakoko broke up almost all of her peace deals over her pot. Today, that pot is still in Bone County. She would cook, and when it comes to eat, those deals were broken at that point.
That's good. So tell me, what is the poverty rate out in Liberia?
We, on the poverty index, the last I checked, were around 3, and then we dropped to 1 and went back to 2. So we are at a lower index.
Or that is good. Really good to know. Okay, so to listeners and viewers, if you like to call in with comment, questions for Miss Janie, our lines will be open. You can call and contribute. You can call and ask questions. If you're within the United States, you can call 303-800-6277. 303-800-6277. If you're outside the United States, you can call our WhatsApp line 720-238-1489, 720-238-1489. Okay, Ms. Janie, let's continue. So, what year are you planning to run? Maybe it will be the first you tell us. We want to know.
This will actually be the first I tell it. But I'm more focused right now in the next 5 years on getting more women at the table. And after that, I will definitely make the transition into politics. So if we're in 2020, we're talking about 2025, 2026.
Wow, that'll be a long time. So there will be a lot of planning. And so have you like started out in your community?
There's a lot of planning,
a lot of groundwork. That is really good. Really.
I am someone who is a sticker for winning. So if I'm going into a process, it must be well thought out, well implemented, because winning is the objective.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so let's talk about education in Liberia. Um, how old should a girl be before they can start school?
We have the early childhood policy in the country that started during Madame Solis' term and continued during His Excellency George Manawiya period. And girls as young as 3 can start to go to school.
That is good. And do you guys
What
have
we
like
have problems with,
go on.
what we have problems with is they go to school very early, and by the time they make a transition from elementary to junior high, then we have a high dropout rate that happens for teenage pregnancy. And when they go to high school, it's even a lower number from teenage pregnancy. So that has been an issue for a while now. A lot of sensitization and awareness have gone into doing that. But just today, I was reading the Liberian Daily Observer, and it was saying that after the COVID-19 break, a lot of young women are returning pregnant to schools. So it's still a challenge today.
Is that due to the rape cases that are really high out there?
It's due to rape. That's one. Two. I mean, sexual culture in Liberia is quite fluid. I mean, most of these young girls are below the age of consent. Some of their perpetrators are below the age of consent as well. And the new trend of television, social media, and the portraying of and selling of sex as a cool thing is really affecting our society.
Well, I sure hope the government will work something out and um, raise awareness of, because not whatever you see on social media is the real thing. And I think a lot of people in Africa have that issue as well. Like with the education, do you have like free education or from like to elementary or to high school?
So throughout elementary is free. I mean, most government institutions are practically free because the fees are not very high. The University of Liberia, where I work, the president has a free tuition policy. So even at university level, you will only pay fees, which is in a tune of around $5 US.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it, $5 to $10 US at most for your fees.
Mm-hmm.
Is around 2,000 plus Liberian dollars, and so it's practically free at the university level. Once you enter, you can definitely go and study tuition free. That's a new policy that was implemented by this government. Be very realistic. That's one of the policies that have scored this government a lot of points. Are very, very, a lot of our students at the university could not afford to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
but that policy has enabled them to go to school. So we have a enrollment rate of around 20,000 students per semester. That policy also rolls out to all of the public universities
Mm-hmm.
in the country. So if you are a student in the Leeward counties, Grand Bassa, Maryland, Sino, Grand Jita, and you go into a community college at that level, it's also tuition free as well.
Oh, that is good. What are feeding program? Do they have feeding program for elementary? Is it free feeding, like for lunch,
Uh,
breakfast?
Feeding programs are mostly implemented during the wartime, and now is embedded in some form of school program, but some level of some cash, not a lot. A minimum cost is attached to the feeding program.
That is good to know. I have a question from a viewer. Miss Caroline wants to know, um, do you plan to run for a presidential position, and what difference or impact will you be making as a president if you should run as a president?
In the next 20 to 30 years, if the president, I'm very young by the way, so age is still in my favor.
Yeah.
If I'm running for
Well, let me
president,
ask, how old do you have to be in Liberia before you can run for the presidential position?
it should be over the age 35,
Over
35 to
35.
45. Yeah, 35 to 45. But I'm very young, I mean, and I still have some planning to do with the representative level that I want to start on
Mm-hmm.
first, and then on to a senator and then a president. But if I am ever to become a president of the Republic of Liberia, the one thing that I will intentionally follow the South Korea model. That is turning a country from a developing country to a developed country. And the South Korea model has so much history. I mean, there's a few months ago, they came to Liberia, and as we share their history and I read about their history, you can see Liberia is almost where South Korea was, not so far. Today, South Korea invested in capacity building, training people in areas that needed a lot of, they needed to transform in a country,
Mm-hmm.
send a lot of scientists out, engineers, and then when they return, they build their country.
Mm-hmm.
And that model I will intentionally follow if I'm to ever be president of the Republic of Liberia, because I mean this is something that our country needs. Our country needs someone who is intentional about transforming the lives of the people through institution and policies.
You'll be a really good president, and I sure hope you'll follow through, and we'll be following you. Fire One is here to stay, and so we'll
Very
bring
well. Thank
you.
you very much for the vote of
We'll
confidence.
be following you, and I know when you win that presidency, we'll be the first to bring you out here on Fire One and
Very
to
well.
congratulate you. Even when you get ready to be the representative, we'll bring you back here with all your plans. So we can interview you to tell Liberians what you'll be doing for them if they elect you to go into Congress to represent them there. I have another question from Miss Caroline. She's asking, who is your role model in politics?
Hmm. My role model in politics my um my surprise a lot of people. I First of all, I have to come home. Chief Swakoko is someone I hold in high esteem. And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is someone I follow very closely. But if I would talk about global politics, I would have to go to Germany, to the German Prime Minister. She's someone that I follow very closely. Her reforms, her policy, her lifestyle, and Hillary Clinton as well. Their reforms, the policy, the lifestyle, the difficulties they had when they joined politics, the vote of no confidence,
Mm-hmm.
getting over that no vote to where people believe in a campaign. Those are people I follow. So, I mean, it's a cocktail of powerful women.
That is really good. Really, really good. So have you been talking to ladies in the university, trying to draw the attention to be political conscious, to think of trying to join politics in some way?
A lot of our young women in the University of Liberia are very engaged in politics. I mean, the university is a politically charged environment all of the time. We have SOUP, the Student Unification Party, we have SIM, we have STUDA. Those are institutions that have long standing history. Even compared to the Liberian politics, they are more based on, they are more political institutions than some of our political parties.
Oh,
Yeah. You have a lot of the women brigades in those parties are, I mean, strong. I mean, there is a young woman right now. Every time I see her, I'm like, yeah, girl, you keep going. Her name is Rosa Park, and she's in soup, and they're very, very engaged in the process, and that is something we continue to follow, and we encourage all of the time.
that is good. I have Mr. Samuel Siam wants to know how would you deal with corruption if you're being elected in office?
I'll go back to the institution. Corruption is so deeply entrenched in Liberia that it's not only in government. It's our mindset, it's our perception, it's what we think corruption is and isn't. Just redefining what corruption is alone will put a lot of things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
A young woman will believe that if she has $15 for three persons,
Mm-hmm.
she will take 10 and give the other two five. And that is not corruption because it's $15. But when a public official steals 50,000, then that's corruption.
Hmm.
In fact, on the other hand, they will say is embezzlement. So um, the issue of corruption should not only be tackled from government institutional level only. And it's very keen and very good to put in a straight anti-corruption policy for all government officials. Something that the president must show leadership with beginning with themselves. I mean, you should be the torch bearer
So,
of
like
your
leader by
anti-corruption
example.
policy. Yes. But also creating a lot of awareness, including in our curriculum. And this is something that I've not seen a lot of people do, including our curriculum, civic lessons that deals with corruption
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from the junior high level, from the elementary level, because you have to understand there are people that make up the government.
Yeah.
And if the mindset cannot be changed and transformed, they will go in this government institution looking to beat the system
Mm-hmm.
instead of looking to work within a framework.
Yeah.
So creating that awareness, placing emphasis on indoctrinating integrity in our people. If we do not do that, I mean, no matter what policy you put into place at the top tier level, I will fail.
Wow. That is really good. I'm really stand because in Ghana as well, so I think this is a challenge for Africa as a whole, the whole continent, dealing with corruption is a mindset of the people, and they have to renew their mind. So basically, she not only
Corruption,
starts in the schools, but start from home.
yeah. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine who lived in Germany for a while, and he was like, if a German man, and I'm not saying the system is so better than ours, but if a German person or man or woman walked through a train and did not pay because they were in rush, when they get to the destination, instead of passing, they
Mm-hmm.
will
They
make sure they
pay.
make that payment
Is that exactly
because
the
the
same
people
here?
were, yes. So in Liberia, if you ever do that, no one will pay.
Wow.
In fact, they don't feel that it owe itself to government to pay. In as much as government needs to match what people pay in revenue to the development they see,
Mm-hmm.
because all of those help in creating a correct system, but also just making sure that people understand what integrity is. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge gap in Liberia.
Wow. Well, seems like it's getting late out there, and morning is coming up really soon. So we'll bring this interview to an
Yeah.
end, and we'll really thank you for coming on to Fi One TV to share your thought on this issue. And we really greatly appreciate you for coming today.
Thank you very much, Sika. I mean, if I want can have my number on speed dial anytime. I'm always here to answer all of your questions, and I look forward to you going on this amazing journey as we take it together.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Stay blessed and stay
Thank,
safe.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh God, I give you everything, Lord. They all belong to you, God. They all belong.
So, to our listeners and viewers, as Ms. Jana said, integrity is very important. And as she's raising awareness and advocating for women to join politics, it's really, really important for every woman to take part, to let their voices be heard, not only going out to vote, but take some kind of role in your locality, wherever you are. Be part of like a community meetings and let your voice be heard. Stay blessed and stay safe. You hear from us soon.